What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' the NorCal Sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' the NorCal Sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
All right, you guys, I do apologize for that inconvenience. I'm not sure what the issue was there with my microphone array. I switched a couple of things around to see if it would work a little bit better. If you guys could throw me down a message down in the chat room to let me know you guys can hear me, I would really appreciate that. I do greatly apologize for this issue. It's not something that I experience very often. And I'm just hoping that it's all cleared up now. But if it is, I'll go ahead and take everything from the top again. I only said but a few things so far. But the first thing is this, obviously, happy holidays to everybody. I'm thrilled about this time of the season. I love to spend time with my family. I love family football and food. That's what the 3 F's for this holiday season is for. There's been a lot of great games on today. I will touch on a few of those things. But again, I just want to send out a huge shout out to everybody who's listening on this Christmas Eve. No matter where you are, what you're doing, I hope you guys are enjoying your time with your family, enjoying the food, getting ready to open presents. But again, the most important part, guys, the most important part, not just about the holiday season, but in life in general, is family. Okay, and I know it's rough sometimes. It's rough for me sometimes. We're all going through it, and I'm not saying that to say that anybody's issues are greater than anybody else's, but let's help each other and let's be there for one another, and let's be there especially during the holiday season. Yeah. So anyway, let's get on to talk about some of the sports. There's going to be a few things that I'm going to touch on. Obviously, there's no Rays baseball, and I'll mention that, probably every show until we start getting towards that spring training part where I can start giving you guys more fluent updates about what's truly going on in the world of the Rays right now. But as far as the rest of the sports are concerned, we actually got a lot to talk about, guys, and a lot that I'm excited to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about first is the games that took place today, because there were a bunch of headlines that took place today, especially since it's the holiday season, and with that comes kind of the magical Christmas vibe, like that kind of wave that you ride, good vibes, good energy, and it takes place on the field as well. So for those who didn't watch, Minnesota, won an absolute nail-biter against the Giants. It was a phenomenal game. For those who don't know, I'm a passive Minnesota fan, and basically what that means is my team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm a ride-or-die Buccaneer. However, when the Bucs aren't playing, I got to watch some teams, right? And Minnesota is one of those teams that I tend to watch. Mom's a big fan of them. They wear the color purple, and she's a huge fan of that color, so as a result, she gravitated. Same thing with the Ravens. So it was good to watch them play good ball. That final 2 minutes, right before they kicked that 61-yard field goal, I'm just like on Twitter, like, come on, Vikings, I believe in you guys. Bring it home. Shout out to Justin Jefferson. I'm a huge Justin Jefferson fan, having watched him in college and LSU. Being a Gator again, they play each other every year, so I got to see this guy for about 3 years straight, including that 15-0 season under Joe Burrow. And all I can tell you is this. He is a gift. And he broke the single-season record for the Minnesota Vikings, which was held by Randy Moss for single-season yards. Okay, and there's still 2 more games to go for them. Or is it 1 more for them? I think it's 2 more games for them. So that's phenomenal. That's amazing. Shout out to him. Congratulations, JJ. You deserve it. I also want to shout out to the Cowboys and the Eagles. I'm not a huge fan of either one of those teams. However, they are playing some really good football this Christmas Eve. Both of the offense and the defenses are balanced on both sides, and the Eagles are still playing pretty good football behind a backup QB. Dak Prescott's doing Dak Prescott things, but that Eagles defense had a nice turnover earlier. So there's a lot of good football going on today, a lot more to be expected tomorrow, hopefully. And I really, really hope that the Bucs win this game. And I would agree with you. I would agree with all of you guys there. Tampa Bay right now is in a world of conundrum. There is a lot going on, and it's a primetime game. And not only that, we're playing against a team that's decimated. Okay, they are supremely injured. The only player that they really have is their best player, which is D-Hop. And if we can't find a way to win this game, our season is pretty much over, whether we win the last 2 games or not. So I'll touch on that a little bit more. I just want to run something by you guys. So, guys, I partially do this podcast because I'm a huge football aficionado. I absolutely love the game of football. With that being said, I want you guys to pay some attention to some of these things, because these are some things that I called earlier in the year, and they're coming to fruition more so than not. So here's the first thing, right? One of the biggest conversations during the offseason last week was who's going to win the NFC North. A lot of people said that the Packers would still be good and that Aaron Rodgers would still be a top-tier quarterback. I disagreed. Okay, not because I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan. I love Aaron Rodgers. I like the Packers. They're a decent team. They're one of the teams of destiny, if you will, winning the first 2 Super Bowls in the NFL's record. Okay, in history, I should say. With that being said, it was clear to me that Minnesota was on the rise, and they're showing every bit of it this year, especially winning these one-score ball games. And you guys know me. I think one-score ball games, one-puck hockey games, and one-score baseball games are the most important games. You guys have to win those one-possession games, because those are the teams that you're going to face off again in the playoffs with. And the teams that you don't see in the playoffs, those are the ones that are building are probably going to be more dangerous than the teams that you saw in the playoffs the year before. So that's a principle there. Second thing, the AFC South, guys, the Jags are starting to make me look like a wizard. Okay, before the season started, I said, Jags, you guys have the potential to be the best team in the AFC South, and look what you're doing. I'm so proud of you guys. Behind Trevor Lawrence, ETM, and that smothering defense, guys, I have to admit, I am very impressed with the way you guys have been playing football in the second half of the season. I'm very proud to hear it. It's not just about being right. It's about being happy, because these guys deserve it. It's one of the youngest teams in the NFL, and they've only been to the playoffs so many times. I would like to see them get back into that realm and be successful again, especially now that Tom's not in the AFC anymore. The AFC is the Wild Wild West now, okay? All the gunslingers are out there. So, for the Jags to be playing good football, I'm happy to see it. I can't wait to see what happens if they win the division and make it into the playoffs, and I hope that they're not one and done. Excuse me, guys. I know I'm talking kind of fast, but I'm pretty excited right now. So those 2 things. The third thing I want to talk about is something that's actually kind of close to my heart due to the fact that I'm a Gator, right? So Kadarius Toney, for those who don't know, went to the University of Florida. He was a quarterback, okay, his freshman year, guys, when he started, and he converts over to a wide receiver. And let me tell you something. It was one of the most beautiful conversions from an important role to another important role by a single player that I've witnessed in college. Now seeing him in the pros is making it even all that much more better. Now the Giants drafted him. When the Giants drafted him, me and my dad were sitting down. We were having this conversation. He said, how do you think he's going to do over there? I said, I don't think he's going to do well there. If I had to pick a team for him to go to and be more successful and also help the team become more successful, it would be Kansas City. And let me tell you guys something. Once Patrick Mahomes and Kadarius Toney, they get into rhythm, it's going to be over for everybody else because that guy is a rocket. And he's not a heat seeker. That guy is agile. Like, he can bounce, he can hit corners, and he's got tremendous vision and reflexes. Okay, guys? So don't be surprised if in a few years we're talking more about Kadarius Toney saying this guy could be one of the best to do it. All right? The guy has the potential. Can he stay healthy? And can he, keep up with the ever-changing AFC that is the Wild Wild West? So, congratulations to Kadarius Toney getting to the team that I felt like he would work best on. Congratulations to the Chiefs for getting him. I think it's a marriage made in heaven. I'm very proud of them. Now, I spent a few minutes talking about some things that's kind of outside of my jurisdiction, but I do like to just, spin it up a little bit and also enjoy some of the things that's going on right here. So, it's crazy that all three of the football teams that are in Florida could make the playoffs. That's 100% correct. And it's one of those things that you don't see very often, right? I couldn't tell you the last time a state sent three teams to the playoffs. I would imagine it was California. When you look at in the late 80s, the Rams had Eric Dickerson, so he was the best running back in that division for a year or two, I would say. Probably, at least definitely his rookie year for sure. Then you had the San Francisco 49ers, who are consistently making the playoffs, especially in the 80s and the 90s, behind the original GOAT, Joe Montana, Steve Young, and Steve Bono. Having three starting caliber quarterbacks is really good when you're in the NFC, right? And then I think the other team was the Oakland Raiders, right? So that would be three different teams that made it to the playoffs. And I said the Rams, but it's not the Rams, is it? It was the San Diego Superchargers. So you guys get where I'm going with this. Like, it wasn't the Rams actually was still in where were they? Yeah, that's a good one. Somebody give me that in the chat. Where were the Rams before they became the St. Louis Rams? That's a good one. I would like to know that the answer to that question. Anyway, you guys, let's go ahead and get into everything. And to switch it up a little bit, and especially to show some love to this other team, we're going to start with the Jaguars today. We were talking about them earlier. Jags-Titans is going to basically make or break the division. Final game of the season. I think they can win it. They won the last meeting. Speaking of winning, they are 7-8 right now with a chance to get back to 500 coming up. They beat the Jets, okay, 19-3. That was big, okay? It was huge. They needed it. They also need these last two games. But again, I think that they could be the best team in the South. They're proving it so far. The next game is against the Texans. So, Jets, Texans, two iffy teams that aren't playing well right now. The Titans, a little bit more of a solid foundation at team. When you talk about the head coach, you talk about having one of the best running backs in the league in Derrick Henry, and then Ryan Tannehill, who is a good starting quarterback. That'll be a good game in the final game of the season. And it was, we talked about it earlier this season on the podcast, guys, that if they played well, it'd probably come down to that final game of the season, and you win it and you're in by winning the division, which is two good things. You win a division, make the playoffs in the same game. That'll be something just tremendous for Jacksonville to be able to celebrate. So, you guys, that would be, so cool for you guys. You're on a 3-game win streak, which is huge. The momentum and the confidence that comes with that are things that you can't replace, and it's very, very evident that you guys know what you're doing and that you're going to continue on this path. Now, with every good thing comes a bad thing. The bad thing is that you guys lost Smoot. Dwayne Smoot. Is that his name, Dwayne? That guy has been an absolute monster for you guys on the defense, and losing him is going to be a problem. However, coaching can fix that, right, guys? That means the other players are going to have to play around the pull a little bit more, and that's very, very important, especially when you're dealing with two division games to come up, which would, again, get you into the playoffs and win the division. So, Jags, I think you guys can do it. I'm so proud of what you guys have been able to accomplish. To all those who didn't think Trevor Lawrence was that guy, this is the encouragement that you need to watch college football. When I tell you there's a reason that it's as exciting as it is, and that it's a precursor to what's going to happen in the NFL, remember, all the guys who were good and that you admired before, they all went to college. All right? All of them. They all went to college. Brady, Michigan. All right? Like, you name them. They went somewhere. Peyton Manning, Tennessee. All right? Like, it doesn't matter. Drew Brees went to Purdue. He was a Boilermaker. Like, there's so many different things that go into the aspects of character development and football player development when you are in college, all right? And it's something great to watch. It also helps, pull those weights ahead once you get to the pros. The plays that you're going to be, running 9 times out of 10 you already ran in college, or just extended or in a different scheme, right? Maybe not the same scheme you were brought in and when you played college. So it's one of those things to pay attention to. Trevor Lawrence, ETN were two of those guys who, when they were in Clemson, they were able to appear in, was it 3 national championship games, made the playoffs all 4 times, and they won 2 of them. Or was it one of them? No, they won one of them behind Trevor, and then they won one before that behind Deshaun Watson, which I'm not going to talk about him, but you guys get what I'm saying. With that being said, we're going to move over to the Bucs now, but Jags, again, I'm very happy to see where you guys are at. You control your own destiny. 2 games and you're in, all right? So, yes, the Rams, that's what I figured. They were in LA, or they were in San Diego, and then they move. I hate when teams do that, because obviously there creates an area of uncertainty. Like, for instance, Baltimore didn't have the Ravens. They had the Colts. I think it was the Baltimore Colts back in the day. So that's just an example of, like, some of those teams bouncing around. The Oilers became the Titans, which is weird because the Oilers had a Hall of Fame quarterback there, so why, change the name. But hey, whatever. They do what they do. Now, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all right, guys, this isn't going to be as much of a good pat on the back, right? And I'm not going to spend as much time as I normally would, because this season has clearly been a disappointment, not just for me, but for all those who follow Tom and follow the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Tampa Bay area. All right, so the first thing we have to address is losing to the Bengals, 34-23. I mentioned this before. I said the score was going to be 31-10 Bengals. It was 34-23, which was more so, 34-17, because that last touchdown that we scored was in garbage time. Let me explain what's going on here, guys. Joey Burrow, or Joey Burr, as we like to call him, and, again, being accustomed to him from college, him playing at LSU, he transferred from Ohio State because Justin Fields, I believe, was the starter there. They chose Justin Fields over JB. JB goes to LSU, goes 15-0, wins a national championship and a Heisman. The guy was unstoppable, okay? And when I tell you unstoppable, I don't mean like Jamarcus Russell unstoppable in college, where he has all these athletes around him that are also good at the game, and all he has to do is just kind of put the ball in their vicinity. No, JB was a one-man wrecking crew. He didn't just have one good receiver. He had 3, but it wasn't just because they were decent. He made them look better. He knows how to throw people open. He will take advantage if you make mistakes, and by God, do not give him time in the pocket, because he's surgical. Okay? Now, these are things that I already knew. These are things that a lot of us already knew, especially if you're a Bengals fan or you follow LSU or whatever the case may be. The point being that Tom is similar to that. And the fact that Tom goes up 17-0. He's 89-0, went up 17 against Joey B. Okay? And then the third quarter happens. And when I tell you that it was, imagine being on a pirate ship in the 1600s and your captain just fucking, excuse my language, guys, but just freaking got killed, right? You're like, what do we do? That's what the Bucs look like. I kid you not. It looked like somebody came and took Tom Brady out of the game and was like, look, stop talking to the players. I don't know. I don't see much of encouragement, which is uncanny for him. He's normally there rallying the troops, getting the adrenaline pumping, getting the blood flowing and whatnot, making sure that everybody's focused and intently ready to do their job. There was none of that, guys. I'm sorry to say, but they looked horrible in that third quarter. Perhaps the worst 15 minutes in Tampa Bay history as far as football, just pure football is concerned, okay? So that's a really bad deal, something they're going to have to clean up. Obviously, they didn't turn the ball over in the fourth, but it was pretty much over by then. You can't give JB a short field, and you can't turn the ball over, all right? JJ is a monster, and Carlton Davis did amazing. It's one of the few bright spots on that game, of this team, I should say, not just on the game, but of this team, is Carlton Davis was playing lights out. He made Jamar Chase look like a rookie. He made him look like a shell of himself. Now, we knew it was only a matter of time before JJ started catching passes and things like that, because JB's going to target him. There's no way around that. But Carlton Davis did outstanding. Very proud of that young man and what he was able to accomplish in that game. Now, I mentioned 4 quarters in the third quarter. 4 turnovers in the third quarter. My apologies, guys. I'm talking over myself. But The reason why I want to go back to that is because, guys, whenever you guys look at a spread for turnovers, what's the percentage, right? It's like 85, 90% that whichever team has more turnovers wins the game, right? There's only about a 10 to 15% chance that a team is going to throw, like, for instance, like Tampa Bay in the playoffs last year, or not last year, but 2 years ago, the year we won the Super Bowl, we played the Packers, all right, in the NFC Championship game, late in the third quarter and one in the fourth quarter. Tom threw 3 interceptions, okay? The goodness of it all is that we were already up, all right? We had already picked off Aaron Rodgers. We converted that into points. We had another turnover, which was a fumble, and then we broke their backs in the final play in the second half by hitting that long ball to Scotty Miller in the corner of the end zone, which was probably Tom's most beautiful throw of his entire career. Okay, so I don't want to see that kind of football, that 15-minute period, that third quarter Tampa Bay played. I don't ever want to see that kind of football again. And if we're going to win these final three games, win the division, and go on to the playoffs with any type of momentum, it's going to take us not turning the ball over. Tom's going to have to be in everybody's behind, and he's going to have to be a little bit more accurate with the football, okay, because some of these throws are just off. The play calling is absolutely horrific. There's no way around that. They need to give Tom the ball and just let him do what he does. I don't care how he feels about it. It doesn't matter that it's not his job. What matters is Tom is the GOAT. He knows how to read defenses, and I feel like if they let him operate, he'll perform much better than when these situations arise and it goes from 17-zip to a 34-23 shutdown. Remember this. The Bucs only scored a touchdown in garbage time in the second half. They were shut out of the second half, essentially. Okay? It's not going to work. Not going to work in the playoffs, and it's not going to work against the Carolina Panthers, who just won earlier today. Okay? So, next up again is Panthers-Falcons. Both division games, just like the Jaguars, both division games, we win the division, control our own destiny, which is good. However, in this game coming up against the Cards, the Buccaneers will be missing some significant pieces during injury report. All right, Donovan Smith, Jamel Dean, Vita Vea, Carl Nassib, and Avery are all out. That's not good for us, okay? Carl Nassib, Vita Vea, Jamel Dean, and Donovan Smith are all starters, okay? Carl Nassib starts on opposite sides of Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and he's been big for us in the last couple of games that we've had, okay? So it's just very unfortunate to hear that these things are going to be taking place. If the Bucs are going to win this game, it's very simple. They're going to run the ball very well, okay, guys? I'm looking at like 120, 130 yards rushing, I'm talking. Like, they're going to feed Rashad Evans and Leonard Fournette because they need to. They need to find a way to keep Tom from getting hit while the offensive line is decimated. They have tight ends. You have some good tight ends. They're young, but they're good. They can block. Get them in there. Get these run packages going. Open up that play action. Let Tom be able to pick his shots. And let's be accurate with the football. On defense, it's simple. Pressure the quarterback. He's going to be inexperienced and create turnovers. Let's treat this like we would if it was an 0-2 game. All right, guys? Let's play backyard football. Tampa 2 defense. Apply pressure. Blitz when necessary. Linebackers will do their jobs. Let's create turnovers and get after that football. Let's get after the quarterback, guys. There's no need for us to be slacking off here. It doesn't matter that they're down players. This is an NFL team we're going against. We're an NFL team that needs to win, and let's get the job done, boys. All right? So that's it. That's all I have for the NFL. We do have in the future, I believe it is, that there will be a channel dedicated to Miami to South Florida specifically. So I will no longer be handling the Miami bit. But guys, definitely keep your eyes out for the Dolphins. They're playing really good football. And if Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills make any mistakes, Tua Tagovailoa and those boys will be there to scoop up the remains and do what they can to make the playoffs and hopefully even win the division, depending on how these last couple of games go. So we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and take a break. It's a little bit overdue. When we get back, we'll go ahead and talk some college football. I got a little bit of information there about some things that are going on with a couple of our teams. So thank you for rocking with me again on this Christmas Eve. My name is Corey Pujols, your host for Palm Tree Sports, brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris, the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio, You know what it is. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Alrighty, you guys, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports again. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and it's brought to you by Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Just took a quick peep at the game for those who don't have it on at the moment. It's 27-20, Eagles up on the Cowboys. Again, these games have been extremely entertaining, so there's another one right there for you. Now, let's go ahead and get into some college football, you guys. Now, normally, because we're getting towards the end of the season, in a few weeks there won't be as much college football talk until the spring rolls around and we start seeing what everybody looks like in their pads and in their gear, now on their new teams and whatnot for all those who coming in through the transfer portal, because there's a ton of transfer portals, probably the biggest transfer portal in college football history. There's recruiting out the wazoo, of course. So much talent all around the states. Everybody's looking at somebody. Everybody's trying to get that guy. Everybody's trying to be the next guy. With that being said, the Florida Gators are no different behind Billy Napier, second-year head coach now, or getting ready to be second-year head coach sliding into the offseason. Let's go ahead and talk about what happened in the ballgame. Got destroyed by Oregon State. Not much we can do about that, right? We got forsaken by our teammates. I understand that they have to do what's right for them, and I'll never knock anybody for doing what's right for them. But when you decide to play for a team, the least you can do is finish the season. That's my belief system. You finish the season. You get hurt, you get hurt. These things happen, but it's one last game. Refusing to play one last game after playing a whole bunch of them, and then let's just be honest with you guys, not putting out the kind of tape and results that you really should, especially when you're headed into a draft type scenario, knowing the kind of talent that's in the pros. Guys, don't get me wrong. Huge Anthony Richardson fan. I want to see him succeed. However, I also know that there's a process. I know there's a process because I played football. When I played football, I started out as a good football player, but there were other good football players out there, and I had to learn how to be better than them. And not just at my position, but at their position. Because if, Art of War says know your enemy, okay? And that's the most important information you can have, besides terrain, of course, but we're all on the same on terrain when you're playing football. So you get what I'm saying. Know your enemy, and you'll be successful. Obviously, unless, your enemy's like, Tom Brady or something. In his prime, obviously, like, doing all the things that Tom did. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, these guys are just going to step up above Kobe Bryant. They're just going to step above the plate, and that kind of thing happens. That's not what took place with Florida and with Oregon State. Oregon State beat us down pretty bad. Congratulations to the Beavers. I don't know how many times Florida and Oregon State have played together, so I imagine it was probably the first meeting, and they got the dub, so good for them. Moving on, though, to the future and what the future has for us, National Signing Day for the Gators wrapped on a very good day. We're not done yet, obviously. There's still going to be some transfer portal work done and some more signs as the year goes on and sliding into the new year. But 22, I like it. Bunch of 4- and 5-star recruits. I like it. I like it a lot. There was something that a lot of the recruiters here at Florida have not done in the past, which is recruit heavily in the 4- and 5-star stack or column. The Gators produced this offseason. I'm very happy to hear it. We also have a bunch of talent at the wide receiver position, which is something that we have not had in actually quite a few years. The last time we really had a threatening wide receiver core, let me see, who did we have? Give me a second, guys. I got to go into the vault for this one. We had Freddie Swain, Tyree Cleveland, and what was the other guy? The one who sealed it off against Tennessee. Antonio Callaway? Not Galloway, but was it Callaway? It was something like that. The bottom line is we had a nice receiving core. Then that was about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. So it'll be nice for us to have another star-studded receiving core and be able to get after it on offense a lot more than we did this year, because we did not do well on offense this year. Very inconsistent we were throughout the year, to say the least. With that being said, the biggest focus for the Gators, all right, guys, for all those Gators out there listening, you guys are probably going to know what I'm about to say to be true. The Florida Gators have the coaching. They have good linebackers and a decent secondary. Secondary needs work, of course, but that I suspect that the secondary will get better, especially through the transfer portal. But they don't need as much work as the offensive line and the defensive line need, okay, guys? So let me make this abundantly clear. Games are won and lost in the trenches. A good offensive line, a good defensive line will take you further. A great one will take you to Super Bowls. That's the point. Excuse me, you guys. My apologies. That's the point that I'm making here. In order for the Gators to return to glory, to return to the SEC championship game, and to be able to beat Alabama, it's going to come down to the offensive line, defensive line play, especially in these next 2 years. Billy's done a great job navigating the transfer portal and the National Signing Day so far. But again, this is early. This college football season hasn't even ended yet. So everything that's happening right now is just platonic. We'll see the end result come March. Okay, February, they're going to start, working out jimmies and whatnot, but we'll really see the depth chart start to take shape, right? We'll start to see who's looking at what starting positions and where players are going to be at on the field. If there's going to be any conversions, we'll start to see it then. So that's going to be the very last part to this turnaround in Florida that takes place, because I believe that Billy is going to turn it around, and I don't think he's going to excuse my French, you guys, but half-ass it like Dan Mullen did. With that being said, I also need to say this. I'm a Dan Mullen fan. I respect what he did for us as offensive coordinator in our first 2 national championship victories, and I respect for what he did for us when he came back to Florida. But I will say that the final season that he was here in Florida, he was a shell of the man that he was before, and I can't support somebody who is like that, because he did not put his best foot forward with that team at all. All right? So that's it for the Florida Gators. Can't wait to see what we're able to do, especially with the transfer portal being as wide open as it is. There's going to be a ton of talent to go after, and a ton of talent should want to come here, because there's going to be plenty of playing time in positions for successful players. Okay, there will be. Now, when we talk about Florida, obviously we got to go across the street. We got to talk about Florida State. Okay, FSU. FSU did the opposite of Florida this year. They played very well. Okay, a little shaky at the beginning, a little trouble injuries with the quarterback, but once he got rolling, it was hard to stop him. Okay, let me put it to you like this. Jordan Travis was very impressive, and I would like to see him play football again for the Noles next year and see exactly how he should be, of course, but I can't wait to see how he performs. Even as a Gator, I have to tip my hat off and say that guy knows what he's doing. He's a good quarterback. They play Oklahoma December 29th. At 5:30 p.m. Okay, December 29th is a special day for me. It's my daughter's birthday, so I'll be kind of hoping to celebrate it with her. But the bottom line is this though: FSU, you guys gonna win that game, and y'all gonna stomp all over Oklahoma. All right, let me put it to you like that. You guys are gonna win that game. Y'all gonna look good. And you're going to set up with great confidence heading into the next season, and especially with recruiting and the transfer portal being the way that it is, I suspect that you guys will be a force to be reckoned with next year. And that's not good for Florida, at least in Week 11, but for the rest of it, hey, have fun. Destroy all those teams. Hey, I like Clemson, okay? So be nice to Clemson. I'm just playing. Y'all have fun. Do what y'all got to do to win games, okay? Now, you lost a couple players to the transfer portal. No worries. You'll probably get that exactly back, so I'm not too concerned about that. You finished 13th in the rankings, the top 20 rankings, NCAA as far as the regular season is, going 9-3. Again, so congratulations on that. But second in the ACC Atlantic Conference, again, behind Clemson. So that'll be the next step for you guys, getting past Clemson and owning that conference championship game against whoever comes out of the West. Now, retaining players is always a good thing. You guys are doing a lot of that. So continue to build off of what you have. Your team is still pretty young. Got a lot of juniors on there, so a lot of guys are going to come back for their senior season. And that's always a blessing, especially having that experience, because there's no substitute for experience. And all of those who have played football know exactly what I mean when I say that. The more situations you've been in and that you've been able to get out of, the more successful you'll be in the pros. Watching the Eagles and the Cowboys is a perfect example of a chess match where you're going to have to be multifaceted, and you're going to have to switch things up from time to time, or pull out that wizard, as they call it in wrestling. Okay, so they will be a force to be reckoned with again, like I said, next year. I can't wait to see what's able to be produced out of there, and we'll see what happens as far as the transfer portal goes for both teams, because, again, there's so much talent in there this year from all over the states, from all 50 states. So we'll see what happens, guys. Let's go ahead and take another short break real quick, and when I get back, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the Magic, and then we'll talk about the Bolts. We'll talk about the Bolts first, actually, and then the Magic second. So, again, thank you for joining me on this wonderful Christmas Eve. My name is Corey Pools, your host for Palm Tree Sports. This is episode 15 for those who were, counting and whatnot. It's funny that 15 would fall on Christmas Eve, so there's that little thing. But, again, it's brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all those sports. Sit tight. I'll be right back with you in about 60 seconds, okay?
Lopan, they didn't even want you. Heck, they didn't even want me. But you know what? Right about now, they have no choice. Looking for the real sports talk? Talk that's for us, the people? Look no further. The Wait a Minute Show, a prime time sports comedy cocktail that tucks you in at night. Join me and Lopan Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2livestewsradio.com and Saturday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the waitaminuteshow.com. Sounds like a plan to me. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Indeed.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Palm Tree Sports. Your direct feed. Welcome back to Palm Tree Sports, brought to you by iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And next up, we got the Bolts, guys. So this one is actually going to be a little bit longer than what we normally do. I got a few more things I should say that I normally do to tell you about the Bolts. They've been playing really good hockey, guys. They're 20-11-1, all right, on the season. So that may not seem out of characteristic, right? But a lot of times after teams have made the type of run, right, that the Lightning made, 2 championships, 3 appearances, all right, title talent for sure, and to be playing this well right now is not something that you see very often. This only happens with the best of the best, all right? So I'm very happy to report these things, and as we're, moving on in the journey for the Bolts, quest for a 4th appearance, right? That seems slightly unprecedented, right? 4 straight appearances is nuts. Would be nuts. And they can do it. We have the team to do it. We are playing against the Montreal Canadiens next. They're 16-14-2, slightly worse record, but they're not a bad team. The downside to that is we had a game against the Sabres that got postponed, so I don't think that game is actually going to be played. But the Montreal Canadiens game will be played. That one's going to be on December 28th at 7 p.m. for those who want to watch it. Now, the reason why that's weird is because it can throw your energy off, right? Because you're preparing for one team. You end up not playing that team. Now you got to prepare for a whole different team, right? But when you look right after that, the next game is against the Red Wings. All right, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's against the Red Wings. I'm not 100% sure, but the last loss that we had was against the Red Wings, okay? And that's the reason why I'm bringing that. First things first, the Red Wings absolutely decimated us, all right? It was 7-4. It was not a close game when you from the scoring perspective, but even more important than that, when you look at the last 2 losses, they've both been to the Red Wings. 2 of the last 3 losses by the Lightning have been to the Red Wings. So you put in consideration that if the Lightning had been beating the Red Wings, their record would probably be somewhere like 23, right, and like 8. You see what I'm saying? So that could be a team that we're going to have to pay attention. They seem to have our number. We're going to have to get better, especially defensively with them, because they are destroying us offensively. All right, they are scoring when they want to. They're scoring on power plays, and it's ridiculous. We're going to have to shut them down if we're going to have a chance to beat them. Should we see them in the playoffs or the World Series, or not World Series? Jesus Christ, the Stanley Cup. They are. Yeah, they're struggling for sure, but it's just a recent struggle, right? Because they were on a 5-game win streak before that last loss. So it's one of those things where it's like, they're doing well, right? And then when they fall off the cliff, right? And especially against certain teams. Right now, lately, again, it's been the Red Wings. So Red Wings, I believe that's Chicago. So is it Chicago? I can't remember. I'm sorry. But the Red Wings, they're just playing phenomenal right now. There's no way around it. And the Bolts are going to have to do better if they want to have a shot, right? Especially if they see them later in the season. So those are the main things. But I am very proud of the record. Again, 20-11-1 is a solid record, especially for a team that would be considered tired after hitting, the runs that they've had each of the last 3 seasons. Again, championship, and then appearance. So I pray that they can continue on. I just hope that the team continues to join closer and closer together and continue to represent the South extremely well in the state of hockey. And when I say the state of hockey, that's what I mean. I mean specifically, like, hockey is usually played in northern states or considered a northern state type of sport. And yet, the Bolts have clearly shown that to not be just a northern type sport. So it's something that's very much so welcome down here. We love hockey down here. For those who don't know, Hockey games are extremely exciting down here. We get rowdy, very rowdy. So, but it's the South, baby. What do you expect? What do you expect from us? So, good job, Bolts, as far as the 5-game winning streak is concerned. Let's play better defense against the Red Wings and be sharp on offense. Let's turn that part specifically against that team around, and let's continue to play good hockey. I'm very proud of you guys. Keep up the good work. Now, on to the next team, the Magic. Obviously, we're not going to be talking about the Heat because, again, the Heat are going to be covered on the Miami show. So, I am more of a Miami fan than Orlando Magic fan, but we're going to talk about the Magic because they got some good things going for them, and they're a young team, and I love when young teams can figure it out. I do, because usually experience is like a foregone conclusion to win games. Sometimes young people, like y'all remember that young Russell Wilson when he's playing for the Seahawks? Y'all remember that guy? Woo! That guy was good. That guy was really good. I don't know who he is now. I don't know what. I mean, maybe he's turned to an old man. Maybe he's a family man now. Maybe he need to just go focus on being a dad. But he was a monster, all right, as a young player. Tua Tagovailoa, still young, a monster. Josh Allen, still young and a monster. Lamar Jackson, injured, but still young and a monster, okay? These young guys, Justin Herbert, all right? These young guys, man, they got it. Trevor Lawrence, they have it, and they're ready to go, and I love to see it. Speaking of it and being young, the Orlando Magic are now 13-21. Now, this season, like, it was dead, all right? I'm not saying that they're going to, like, pull off some crazy, 25-game win streak or something, but they are within shooting distance of becoming 500, and once you get to 500 in basketball, then you control your own destiny, right? Because we know it's not quite like football. They're playing 82 games. We're playing 18 games in a season or 17 games in a season, whatever it is. I mean, you count the bye week, right? Because it's like 17, 18 weeks, whatever. So you're playing 82 games, all right? That's a lot of mileage. That's a lot of running. But you know what else that is? That's a lot of togetherness. That's a lot of unison. That's a lot of getting your guy down packed, like understanding who you're playing with and what roles they play, what they're good at, what they're not good at. So shout out to the Magic for doing well. They beat the Spurs 133-113. The Spurs aren't a hot team or anything like that. They're 10-22 on the season. So that's even worse off than the Magic, but you like to see it because, that's a 20-point differential, completely outschooling and outclassing them. You always want to do that on the basketball court regardless of who you're playing against. So good job, Magic, there. Next game's against the Lakers. Everybody knows I'm a huge LeBron James fan. Unfortunately, Lakers aren't doing him any favors. Anthony Davis is pretty much perpetually injured all the time. Russell Wilson is like a waterfall that goes up. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. The rest of the team seems to be having moments where they can flash greatness, but unfortunately, they're just not doing that man enough justice. There's a lot of speculation that Jeannie Buss would be doing James a solid by trading him somewhere else. But if I know James, he wants to be right there anyway in LA. I think he always wanted to be a Laker, and I don't think he necessarily wants to leave. But they need better talent. No doubt about that part. But that's just for the Lakers. We're not here to talk about the Lakers. We're here to talk about the Magic, who have won 7 of the last 8, including beating the Boston Celtics twice. That by itself is just monster for them, especially knowing that Boston is the best team in the East right now. All right, and they look the part. They look like they on a course for vengeance for what happened last year with the Golden State Warriors and that final series that was. So we'll see what happens with Boston. We'll see what happens with Orlando. But again, Orlando was able to beat them those 2 back-to-back games, so it wasn't a fluke. All right, they did it behind good scoring, good 3 balls, and good defense, which is what seems to be driving them right now. So again, 7 of the last 8 is phenomenal. Beating the Celtics twice is phenomenal. I don't know what more you need as a confidence boost to become better, guys. Keep playing good basketball. My dad would be smiling at you guys right now. He's very proud of you guys to see what you guys are doing, especially with such the young team that you have. And again, you're doing it behind the 3 ball and great defense. All right. That's how the Celtics do it. That's how the freaking Golden State Warriors do it. That's how all these good teams do it. Yeah, of course they're going to score in the paint because that's how basketball's always been played. There's always going to be big men. There's always going to be jump shots. There's going to be all that good stuff, okay? But it's when you really start being able to attack the perimeter properly to get defenses off balance and lazy because you don't know where you're going to go or what you're better at. They don't know either. That's the beautiful part about being young, having a 3 ball, and playing good defense, all right? Tenacity is always phenomenal, especially when it's one-on-one and you're not in zone coverage. When you're covering your guy, you're going to want to be on him, but not like ridiculously, but you do want to have tenacity, create steals, create blocks. Get your other teammates involved. Transition offense always leans to points or fouling people out, right? Because those are the things that you're trying to do. Those are your two main goals in transition and breakaway offense, right? Whenever you get a steal or a block or something like that and turnover goes in your possession. So that's one of the biggest things you're playing basketball. It's always chess and never checkers, but you never want to overstep. You just always want to be ready for whatever. And that's what it seems like the Magic have been doing. So again, proud of you guys for playing well, 13-21. Hopefully you guys get that right back up to 21-500 and then go from there and continue to build. With that being said, I will say the last thing that they need to do right is to remember to finish games. All right, because in the games that you guys lose, you're in it. And then you just, somewhere y'all just like the brain turns off or something, right? Like the football IQ just turns off or something like that. So that's the thing that you guys are going to have to work on. And again, keep on with the good 3 balls and the good defense and spreading the ball around. Very happy to see you guys do your thing. Now, with all of those things being said, that's pretty much all I have for you guys in reference to the major sports. All the UFC events have already wrapped for this year. If I'm not mistaken, the last one was a pretty good one. Bunch of knockouts, bunch of finishes, I should say. It's very depressing for those who watch UFC when a fight goes the distance, because now you're leaving it in the judges' scorecards, and you don't want to do that, because when you leave it in the judges' scorecards, you have a chance to lose, and you don't ever want to have that kind of chance to lose. So thank you guys for rocking with me on this Christmas Eve edition of Palm Tree Sports. I am your host, Corey Pujols. If you guys want to talk to me, hit me up on Twitter. I'm always talking all things sports. I'm a little bit more aggressive on there than I am on here, but that's because opinions are fluent there, and obviously we're having great conversations, especially trading information and learning new things. With all those things, and the holidays being concerned, I just want to say again, happy holidays, you guys, and please be good to one another. Have a good time. Eat good. Stay safe. That's always key. Stay safe and stay warm. It's been cold down here in Florida. I can only imagine what it's like everywhere else. Again, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you same time, same place next week. Palm Tree Sports, Corey Pujols, brought to you by Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a phenomenal Christmas and Happy New Year, you guys.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.